Hi guys, EBPMAN here with Habits for Me. Well, it's been a little bit over 48 hours since I've had the Gear S2 4G version from AT&T, and I wanted to share with you my impressions. So let's take a look at the video. We'll see what's good, what's bad, and how it compares to some of the other smartwatches on the market. So the first thing I wanted to cover on the Gear S2 was just the physical aspects and how well the wear was. So a couple things just to note. When I did the unboxing, I highlighted the fact that there was an extra set of bands. This extra set of bands is a larger set of bands. So the band that it has on today is a small one. That's the one that came with it when I unboxed it. And this is a larger set, so if you have a larger wrist, you can switch to that. And that's pretty nice. The bands themselves are soft material. They're a rubber type material, and I can tell you I wear the watch from 7 in the morning to end of day, and I had no issues with it. I've also been starting to wear it for sleep, just to see if it was the kind of watch that bothered you because it was too stiff and you wouldn't be able to wear it. And I did that because the watch does have an alarm, and I know some people, including myself, I use, for example, my Fitbit with its silent alarm capabilities as an alarm clock. So I tried using the watch itself as an alarm clock, and it did really well. I didn't have any discomfort wearing it at all at night. So this is something that I just wanted to share with you guys. The other thing I just wanted to highlight is just the overall weight is very comfortable. The screen size is 1.2 inches, and I have to say that I feel that the screen size is a little too small for my liking. I did like the size of the Urbane LTE. That was at 1.38, and even though it's not that significantly larger, I could feel it, I can see it, and also, when you compare it to the Moto 360. But I will say this, and I'll just turn this on really quick. The readability of the screen is very good. I did not have any problems viewing the screen in direct sunlight. It did a nice job doing that. And at this setting, this is not, I don't think this is even a 5 setting. Let's see, what do I have this at? So if we zoom in right here so you can see it, it's at 4. And you can see how clear that is. So in direct sunlight, had no issues. And I actually set it at that 4 setting so that I can extend the battery life of the watch. So easy to wear, easy to sleep with, and I felt no discomfort. The watch is certified for IP68, which is a higher rating than I would say the Urbane. The Urbane is 167. At 168, I'll tell you, I've used my Samsung Gear S, the first edition, which also had a 68 rating, I believe, and I've showered with it, didn't have any problems with the watch, let it dry out, obviously, and I had no issues. Now, I'm not saying that it's okay to do it. I'm saying in my personal experience, I put it through some normal use, working out, running, and then showering with it, and the watch functioned fine. The only trouble I had with that watch, and I'm sure the same thing is going to be true here, is that as you see here, here's your mic, and if water falls in the mic area, not that it will damage it, and I'm talking about clear water, not salt water, or it falls in this area here, which is your speaker. I did notice that when I would call someone after taking a shower, if I did it from the watch and was using the watch as a standalone solution, individuals did say that they heard muffleness, that it was kind of distorted. So if you're going to use it as a standalone solution, not advisable unless you have a headset, but I didn't have any problems with the IP68 setting. So now let's focus on battery life. The battery life of the watch, the reason why I extended my review, typically I do a review after 24 hours. I kept this watch from the review an additional day because the first night I wore the watch and I had it on, I charged it before I went to bed to 100% and I put it on, and it consumed 40% of the battery by the next day, which was really bad. So, coming up at 60 something percent the next day for your normal day, my watch did not last the full day. I actually, by 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock, I had to put it to charge, which I was really disappointed with. So I wanted to give it another day to see if the battery and the watch had to kind of just adjust itself, and I'm happy to say that it did. The next day I wore it, I used it as an alarm, nothing changed, it was tethered to my phone, same experience, and it only used 8% battery all night. So that's an incredible improvement compared to the 40%. So 8% consumption compared to 40%, and it really did well. And after, I would say 3 hours of using the watch as a watch, not making phone calls, but I do get a lot of text messages. I get maybe about 1,000 text messages or more on a monthly basis. The watch is handling all these texts. After 3 hours, my battery was at 98%. So still really good. And the one thing I will say is I don't know how well under normal or higher than normal usage, right? Because I'm a light user when it comes to the watch as a phone. If this watch will last all day or 2 days, so I'm kind of skeptical, and that's because the battery is smaller. I believe that this is like a 300 milliamp hour battery, and compared to the Urbane, which had over 500, the Urbane I could go up to 2 days without any issues and really using it, getting text messages. And I find that this is probably not the heavy duty watch if you're looking for something that you're going to be using constantly and as a phone the majority of the time. Now, the one thing that the Gear does really well is auto call forwarding. So I'm going to go into settings, and we're just going to talk about that for a second. So auto call forwarding means that in the event that your Bluetooth connection gets severed between your phone and your watch, the watch is automatically going to start receiving all calls. So all phones have the ability to do call forwarding, but Samsung has been doing this now for over a year. So when you think about the first Gear S, this capability existed. So they have now going on, a second year of experience, and it always worked really well. So you disconnect, and basically all calls get forwarded to your watch. And if I go into my watch, let's see if it says it here. You'll notice on the top it says connected remotely. So now what's happened is all calls will be forwarded, but not just call forwarding, all your text messages get forwarded. And any text message that gets forwarded from your phone, when you reply to it on your watch, will come with a phone number from your phone. And again, this is the second year them doing this, so they have a lot of experience. It works extremely well. Now, AT&T will have next year in January this feature called Number Sync. The number sync is going to allow you to have up to 5 numbers, 5 phone numbers connected to one primary number. So when you call, the numbers, it will be like a simultaneous ring. And it's really targeted towards watches like this and also the Urbane once this comes back into production. But for now, that feature doesn't exist. If that's something that's important to you, and that's like the primary reason why you'd want something like this, then there's no question in my mind that the Samsung Gear S2, and for that matter, the Gear S, has the auto call forwarding feature working really well. Now, keep in mind that that functionality working really well is with Samsung phones. So I just wanted to highlight that. Now, you can pair the Samsung, the Gear, with other devices, and it does work well with other devices that are non-Samsung based, but you do lose some capabilities, and that's something that I'll be doing a video on as I connect it to an LG V10, and we'll just show what works and what doesn't. Now, talking about call quality and overall using the watch as a phone, I want to say that I had a really good experience with it. So here I have my original Gear S, the S2, and the LG Urbane. I have yet to return mine due to the recall. And I'll say that it was pretty consistent. People felt that speaking on the watch was something that they really didn't recognize that I was on a watch. They thought I was on a cell phone. And the audio quality was good. I actually feel that it's a little louder than the Urbane, just a tad bit louder, so it's easier to hear. Now, the one thing that is different between this watch compared to these two is, and I'll show you on the back here of my Gear S, you'll notice that right here, let's see if I can get it in the light, right here, this is your SIM tray. Well, the Urbane has a SIM tray somewhere here. This kind of comes off, and then you could get to the SIM tray. Well, this one doesn't have that. This one has something that's called an eSIM. There are no, it's not removable. It's part of the watch. Good or bad, I don't know, but I just want to let you know that there's nothing that you can pop out. And so then, the question does become, is it unlocked? Is it locked? Can you move it to another carrier? With this watch, I was able to put a T-Mobile SIM in it, and it worked. With this one, I can't because there's nothing to switch out. So that's one thing to recognize as well. Something I just wanted to show you really quick here are the screen sizes so you can see what I'm talking about. I'll power this one up so you can see it. And here I have the LG. Notice side by side, not significant, but significant enough for me. Getting a notification for me to notice that there is a difference. So if you really like the larger, bulkier watches, this is definitely my preference. But this is also very comfortable. It's just for me small. Now the band on the Gear S2 is removable, and all you do is, I'll show you this right here, you just use your nail to lift up right here, just tilt it up like this, and once you pull it up, it slides out. So it's really easy to remove. Unfortunately, only the classic band, or the classic style watch, which has the different bezel on the top, is the type that's going to give you the ability to use a standard band. This one you have to use a proprietary band that comes from Samsung, or if any third party starts making them, then you'd be able to use that as well. So now let's go ahead and talk about software. What was my experience with the software? As I compare it to the Moto 360 and I compare it to my experience with the Urbane, which was truly the first Android Wear cellular phone watch combination, right? What I have to say is that the experience, the whole bezel feature here that Samsung implemented, I really like it. I think that the usability of this watch is much better than what you get with Android Wear. I do really like that. I like being able, and you can see here, I've shown this in some of the videos, I'm looking at my time, and if I go over to this side, I can see my notifications. If I go this way, I can see the weather, and I also have my music, and then I also have these other widgets right here for quick access to things. I just like that feature. The buttons, I do like the fact that while I love the Urbane's look and feel, one of the things that drove me crazy was this button here. I tend to, and most of you would as well, I would guess, as you flick your wrist up, I would tend to hit this button repeatedly. So I was constantly turning on the watch. Even though I had the watch off, I found that happening. That is not a problem with this one. I didn't see that opening at all. I did program on the watch to make S Voice more usable, the double click, so I can double click here to get S Voice. What I don't like about when I do the double click and get S Voice is that there isn't really any feedback. I don't get the sense that, you do get a vibration when you do this, but I don't think it's enough to let you know that S Voice is kicked in. S Voice is not as capable as Google Now, so while you can ask it the weather, you can ask it the time, there's a lot of things you can ask, it really can't compete with what you find with Google's solution from a Google Now perspective. But it is capable, and you really have to think about, do you use all those features or not? There are some apps that are standalone apps on this, so let's move into apps. One of the things that you can do is design multiple faces. You can come up with your own designs, and also there are applications out there where you can create replicas of some of your favorite watches. So as you can see, I really don't have a normal face or one of the stock faces. I have a replica face that I have installed on the watch. So if you're one of those that really likes to have replica watches and likes to change things, you can do that with this watch. You can at one time, that limitation was not something that was overcome, but that's something that you can do now. The software, you do have a heart rate monitor, right? And the heart rate monitor is pretty neat. I find that Samsung has done a really nice job with S Health, and the S Health software is standalone. So if we were to go into it, and I'm just going to turn go into it and then go into my bezel. Let's go into my apps, and I go into S Health. There's a lot of features that you have here. It's not as good, I would say, as a Runkeeper or any of those applications in the Moto, but it does do a really nice job, and it is standalone. It does not require the phone. So, and the other thing that I like about it is, and I never really got this, is why do you need to have your heart rate continually checked like you do with the Fitbit? It does sporadic checking, so it could go in and it'll take your heart rate, and as you noticed there, it said 3 hours ago it just checked my heart rate. You can also indicate how many glasses of water, how many cups of coffee you've drank, go into your settings, and you can also set up different exercises. So when you're going to create, do some activity, what you can do is you can do bike, you can do running. There's different type of activities that you can set. I found that both this watch, the Moto, as well as the Urbane, are pretty much coming in line with when it comes to steps. They're counting. They don't register to the same degree as my Fitbit, and you've seen when I do a lot of videos, I still have my Fitbit on. I don't have it today because I actually been wearing these two just to see how they compare. And these two actually compare pretty well. They are 1,000 steps on average shy of my Fitbit. Now, I don't know which one is more accurate. I'll have to see which one is the most accurate, and there's probably going to be studies on that. But in the past, I know that when compared the Fitbit to the Gear S, the Gear S was more accurate. Maybe these devices are more accurate. Who knows at this point? But if you're looking for steps, they both calculate and can monitor them. I just don't know which one is more accurate. Now, if we look at some of the other applications that you have here, I think the weather is a nice app. There are some nice features there. It does do a nice job of telling you what your weather is, giving you some of the details. You can have additional cities. You can use S Voice to ask it for the weather in different cities and give you like a 5-day forecast, and it works really well there. S Voice does a really nice job at text translation. Sometimes I find it's slow, and one of the things I want to mention is that if you find that your watch is slow, you'll notice this little icon here. Let me zoom in so you can see that. This happens to do with your recent apps. So let me go back to that. When you click on it, all the apps that were open are quickly accessible, right? So this is like your multitasking feature. What I find that is if I close those, the watch speeds up. I have not had to reset my watch, but if you do, all you do is you press this button, hold it, and then it will go into your reset mode. So if I just press and hold, you're going to have the power off, airplane mode, or power savings mode, which, by the way, the power savings mode works really well. So you can extend your battery life significantly, and you will still be able to take text messages and calls, but it disables other things as you're in the power saving mode. The Nike app is a nice addition. So I like that, but I've been using the S Health for running. I think that that's the best solution for now. You do have good integration with your calendar, so you'll be able to see all your calendar entries. And the phone features are nice. So the phone does have a keypad. I've shown you how you make phone calls. I find that the keypad is better. I found it better than what I've seen in the Urbane, and I like it probably as much as I liked it with my old watch. So that's fine. So from a health perspective, it does a really nice job. Now there's another app here that I think is important to talk about, and that is the maps. So I'm going to rotate, standard things as alarms, timers. You got your stopwatch, Bloomberg, CNN. You do have a standalone music player, and while you have Samsung Milk, neither of these stream, right? So there's no streaming capabilities. So if you want to do Pandora, it doesn't exist. And if you do Samsung Milk, you're going to need the companion app. So going down here to maps. So the map feature that you have, and I haven't seen anyone really overcome this, the map feature will only show you where you are and show you how long it'll take, either driving, walking, to a specific location, but it does not do navigation. In order to get the navigational functions to work, you need a third-party app called Here. Here is a Nokia-based application for navigation, and it does connect with your phone, and it requires your phone. So it's pretty much in the equal position as this watch is here. Neither of these will allow you to do standalone GPS capabilities. Where this watch is one step ahead of this one is that it will at least show you where you are and tell you visually, it will draw you the map as to how do you get from one point to another. That's the only advantage that you have in this app. So that's I would say a plus for this solution. For those of you who've been wondering what the watch looks like on rest, here it is. I don't have it tight, but I'm going to show you how it looks like and compare it to the Urbane. So that's the look. Again, I don't have big hands or very wide wrists, but the watch face is smaller. So if I were to switch this one off, put this over to the side, and grab the Urbane does have a stiffer band. The band includes the cellular antenna. Now this is what the Urbane looks like. Again, if we put them side by side, you can see significant difference. I do personally love the Urbane, but as we all know, it's been recalled, so this guy will be going back. And the only option you have right now in the market if you want to sell your smartwatch is the Gear S2. So this concludes my review, the 72-hour review of the Gear S2, my impressions, what I liked, what I didn't like. And the question is, which one would I choose? Which is the smartwatch of choice? I would have to say that if I had a choice, it would be the Urbane, because I love the look and feel of the Urbane. However, I love the workflow that you have inside of the Gear. This bezel experience is fantastic. I thought that I was very surprised also with just the overall how well things worked inside of it. So it was pretty stable. I've seen some messages on just different bulletin boards where people have had issues. I have not had those issues, and I've been putting it through its paces pretty much to see how it worked. But I do like the navigation on this watch. I like the lightness of this watch. This is a heavier watch, but again, that's the bulkiness of it. And I just wish that we didn't have to recall the solution. So my recommendation again goes, because of the fact that this one is no longer available, this is the only watch in the market that is cellular. And if you're looking for a cellular watch, the Samsung Gear S2 is something that I would recommend. If you have any comments or questions about this product or any of the features that I haven't shown, please leave them on the YouTube channel. There's been a lot of chats going on and communications about the Urbane and also on the Samsung. I really appreciate all the dialogue going on, both you asking questions, me responding, and some of you have been even answering your own questions, as you've been collaborating on the comment section. So please continue to do that, and I'll continue to post my updates on the Urbane as well as on my experience on the S2. Again, anything you want to see, let me know. I'll try to do a video on it. And as always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to share, like, and subscribe.